Hello, it's Nathan with Nice at Dice. Today I'm playing another version of Pandemic. Today it is Pandemic Fall of Rome. Perhaps you're familiar with the classic cooperative board game Pandemic about traveling the world, trying to contain diseases. This is a variation of that game using some similar mechanisms, but with a completely different theme. So in Pandemic Fall of Rome, you are stepping back in time to the 5th century when the Roman Empire was going into decline. There were many other forces invading the Roman Empire, what the Romans would have called barbarian people. The game represents that with 5 different colored cubes, much like how regular Pandemic has 4 different colored cubes for 4 different diseases. Here we've got 5 different colors for 5 different tribes of these so-called barbarians. And you're trying to hold them back, but you also have the opportunity to ally with them and sort of co-opt them to your side. So we're going to go take a look at the game. I'm assuming that you already are somewhat familiar with Pandemic if you're watching this video. Perhaps you are not familiar with Fall of Rome, so I'll explain some of the differences as we go. But I'm going to play just a game of Pandemic Fall of Rome, and you can watch as I play. If you notice any discrepancies in the rules where I make rules mistakes, please feel free to point them out to me. This is only the 3rd time I've played the game, so I just learned it recently. I'm sure I'm going to make a lot of mistakes either in the rules or just in my overall strategy. So again, please feel free to point any of that out to me as I go. But we'll go over to the desk now. I'll show you the board, and we'll talk a little bit about what makes this game work. So over here, you can see I have the game set up. And one of the things that's interesting about this version of Pandemic is Pandemic has always been like 2 to 5 players. You can play it solo, of course, by just simply kind of simulating a 2 or 3 player game or however many players you want, and just making the decisions for each player yourself. This is the first game I've seen where it actually says 1 to 5 players on the box, and they have an official solo variant. So let me show you real quick what that entails. So in the solo variant, you have 3 roll cards, and you set those up and you put their 3 pawns on the table, basically as if you were setting up for a 3-player game. However, all 3 players share 1 hand. Starts out as 3 cards, and it has a hand limit of 7. You also have something called the Treasury, which gets dealt 3 random cards at the beginning of the game. And anytime you are on one of these cities, so for example, when I am over here on this city, and this card is in my Treasury, I could use an action to take this out of my Treasury and put it in the hand. I can also, if I had this card in my hand and I was on that city, could use an action to take it out of my hand and put it in my Treasury. So it allows you to kind of manage your cards a little bit. So if you have cards you want to hang on to but you're not going to use right away, you can sort of deposit those in the Treasury where you'll be able to get them back later. And that's the primary difference between playing single player using the single player variant and just playing a sort of like a simulation of a 3-player game. So, what is the goal of the game? Well, as is indicated down here by these 5 icons, you have the opportunity to form alliances with these 5 barbarian tribes. And you need a different amount of cards depending on which tribe you want to ally with. So for example, the Gray tribe needs 5 cards. That's the Vandals. The Visigoths also need 5, but then when you get into the Huns or the Anglo-Saxons, you only need 4 cards each, and if you want to ally with the Ostrogoths, you only need 3 cards to do that. Optionally, if at any point in the game you have allied with any number of these tribes, and every tribe that you have not allied with has none of their cubes on the board except in these starting spaces right here. These are basically just the supplies for the cubes of that color. Then you have won the game. So you need some combination of allying with the different tribes and or wiping those tribes off the board and keeping them off the board. You also have these little guys. These are Roman legions. Each player starts out with 2 in their city. You can carry them around with you as you travel, and you can recruit more legions. And legions are important because there is no simply, like in your typical pandemic, you can just remove a cube from a city that you're in. You can't do that in this game. Instead, you have to actually fight the barbarians with your legions. And that's resolved using these custom dice. So, already, if you didn't know what you were getting into, but you're familiar with classic Pandemic, you're probably thinking this is radically different, and it is. So we'll get right into it and just kind of, I'll explain other differences as we go. So the first player is going to be the yellow guy. He's the consul. His special ability is as an action, he can add 1 legion to any city with a fort. Also as an action, he can add 1 legion to his own city. So first thing he's going to do, he's going to take the 2 legions that he has with him. You can move up to 3 legions with you as you travel. He's going to go 1, 2, 3. And then I have the card for that city. So I'm going to discard that card to build a fort there. Building forts is important because building forts is what allows you to recruit more legions. You can only recruit legions in a city where you have a fort. So that's his 4 actions. He's going to draw 2 player cards. So we got a white card and we got a revolt. So this is what we have instead of epidemics. We're going to increase basically the infection rate, but in this game it's the invasion rate. As the invasion rate goes up, the number of legions you recruit with the recruit action also goes down. So that's important to note. You draw 1 card from the bottom of the invasion deck. Alright, Carthago is down here, and we add 3 cubes to that city from the gray supply. And that card gets discarded. We're going to shuffle these up and put them back on top. Alright, well that's not a great start, because I suspect we're going to have a lot of trouble here now in that town. But we'll see how it goes, because we've already got 3 green cubes there and 3 white cubes. So this version of Pandemic doesn't have outbreaks. Instead it has the city gets sacked, which is basically the same thing. It's essentially the same thing. And you have cities get sacked too many times, then you lose the game. Alright, so we got to draw 2 cards from this deck and hope that neither one of them is Philippopolis. And the first one is Philippopolis. And the second one is Tyrus. Alright, so first we resolve Philippopolis. It gets a white cube, but instead it's going to get sacked. So then we have to add a white cube to each adjacent city. And then we're going to add another white cube to Tyrus. Okay, so not a good start. It's going to be the white player's turn. So the white player's turn, as an action, remove 2 legions from your city to add a fort to it. Also, as an action, discard a city card to either move from a city with a fort to any city, or move from any city to a city with a fort. And you can take up to 3 legions with you. So he's going to take these 2 legions with him. He's going to go 1, 2, move to this city that just got sacked. And he's going to trade in his 2 legions for a fort. That'll be his 3rd action. And for his 4th action, he's going to recruit 3 legions at that city. Alright, so now we're kind of in a position to defend that spot now. Okay, 2 player cards for him. Oh, we have another white card. And we have a gray card. So that's good. So we've got 3 out of 5 white cards that we need. So a couple of the things that I'm looking at right now is we've got a lot of white on the board already, and we have 3 white cards in our hand. So I'm thinking about going with a strategy of allying with white. And slide these up a little bit so they're maybe a little bit more in frame. So yeah, I'm going to try and go for a strategy of allying with white. We have 1 black card, but so far there's only 1 black cube on the board. So I think black might be an easier one to just try and control, try and keep them off the board and win that way with them. Now, I just called this black, and earlier I called it gray. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It's like a really dark gray. So you'll hear me call it black sometimes, you'll hear me call it gray sometimes. So just bear with me on that. Okay, anyhow, it's the white player's turn. He just finished that. He just drew his 2 cards, player cards. He needs to draw 2 cards from the invasion deck. Okay, so we've got this city right here. So this city is going to add a cube from that supply. And then we have this city right here. So we would add a cube from this green supply to this city. However, we have a fort and some legions there now. So instead, we're just going to remove 1 legion. So the legions defend the city in that way. Okay. So now we go up to the pink player. So the pink player is like our really strong military guy. His special ability is when you do the battle action, reduce the number of legions you lose by 1. So he is in a city where there are 3 orange cubes that he could deal with. He's got 4 legions there to back him up, so he's going to fight. When you fight, you roll a number of dice up to the number of legions in your city, or to a maximum of 3. So he's going to roll all 3 of these dice. Okay, so this would mean you lose a legion. It's the side that shows like a little legion guy on it. So that would mean that I lose a legion. However, his special ability lets me kind of just cancel that. So this eagle symbol is resolved differently for each roll. So for him in particular, it's remove 2 barbarians from your city. So we get rid of 2 of those. They go back to the supply. And then this just shows a cube. That means you remove 1 barbarian. So he cleared out all the barbarians from that city. And that was his first action. So now for his second action, he's going to take 3 of these guys. He's going to move to this city. So that's the second action. For his third action, he's going to go ahead and fight in that city. Okay, so we got 2 cubes. So we get to get rid of 2 cubes. Let's go ahead and get rid of these 2 gray/black cubes. And we have to lose 2 legions, but I get to cancel 1 of those. So we just lose 1 legion. So that was his third action. He's got 1 more action now. So I think since there's still some enemies there, he's going to go ahead and fight them. And you'll notice I only rolled 2 dice this time because I'm down to 2 legions there. So basically this means I would lose 1 legion, but he gets to cancel that because of special ability. And I'd get rid of 4 cubes. There's only 2 cubes there, so I clean house there. And that is his 4 actions. So he's going to draw 2 player cards. All right, we've got our 4th white card, so we're doing pretty well there. And we have an orange card, and we're at our hand limit, so we're going to have to start looking at using some of these cards or getting rid of them. We get to draw 2 of these. Okay, so we've got this spot, gets 1 more cube, and then Roma here, this is the capital, is the second card that came up. So the way we handle that is we're supposed to add a blue cube to that, but since there isn't already a blue cube in there, we need to trace back the line to the next, the sort of the previous city in the line. So you see from the supply here of blue cubes, there's a line that comes out of it like this, and it's got little arrows on it to indicate direction. So it's coming this way to this city, and then it comes from that city to this city, and then it goes from that city to Roma. So we're tracing back that line to see where we have the first blue cube. So we have one here, and so then we go here, and this is where we add the cube. So the card that we drew for Roma is basically telling us that the blue tribe, the Ostrogoths, are sort of migrating towards Roma. But we have to do a little bit of back checking there to see where the cube actually appears. So that's how that works. All right, so now it's going to be the yellow player's turn again. So we're back, had one full round. All right, so what is he going to be up to? This place is a bit problematic, isn't it? It hasn't come up again, and I've been ignoring it, which I shouldn't have, because when it comes up again, it's going to get sacked. So I need to think about if there's anything I can do to help with that situation. Well, for one thing, I could use this black card here to travel. So I'm in a port city right now, so I could use this card to travel to any black port city, which I could go straight to Carthago, the city I'm worried about, or I could back it up and I could go to Rome. So I'll do that. That's one action. A second action lets me recruit 3 legions. Third action lets me carry those legions to Carthago. And then fourth action will be to fight. Okay, so kind of a mixed bag there. So I got 2 of these results that show a cube and a legion. So I'm going to use those 2 dice to remove 2 cubes and 2 legions. And then I got the eagle, which in his case lets me add 1 legion to the city he's at. So there we go. Not too bad. Came out ahead on that one. And that's his 4 actions. So now he's going to draw 2 cards. Oh, wow. All right. So we got our 5th white card. And we got an event card. This event card is called The Die is Cast. It says, during one battle this turn, set the dice to the results you want instead of rolling them. Okay? Or every event card has this feature that if you want, you can move the marker down the decline track, which normally happens when a city gets sacked. But optionally, you can do that with any event card to get an additional effect. So the additional effect you could use with this event card is do the above for every battle this turn. So I guess that might be useful if you were going to fight a lot of battles in a single turn. Otherwise, it's still a pretty decent card. However, I have 5, 6, 7, 8 cards now, so I'm going to have to discard something. What should I discard? Well, I'm thinking of maybe going for probably, let's see, we'll ditch this orange one. Because we've got orange pretty under control right now. There's not very much orange on the board at all, except for this one straggler over here. And so for that reason, and now that I think about it, how did that guy even get there? Did I leave him there by accident? From the previous game? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he should be able to be there. Yeah, that must be an accident. I just played a game before I set up this game, so I may have left him on the board by accident. In any case, what I was saying is, I don't need to, I think I have a good ability to sort of control orange and not let it spread out on the board. So I don't think I'm too worried about collecting orange cards for that reason. All right, so now we're going to draw 2 of these cards. All right, so we have blue, and it's trying to move to this spot, which there's already a blue cube there, so we can add a second one. And then orange is trying to move towards Roma, so we got to trace this path back like so. So orange would try to come in here, we would just lose a legion as a defense. Okay. So that was the yellow player's turn. Now we're moving to the white player. So the white player has a fort, has a couple of legions there, and he's got 3 cubes of 2 different colors each. So I think he needs to do some fighting. But he'll start by recruiting some cubes, or some legions, right? We'll get that done first. Then we can fight with 3 cubes. Alright, that's not a bad roll. So for him, he got the eagle, and for him that means if in a city with a fort, remove 2 barbarians from your city, which he is in a city with a fort, so we'll remove 2 for that. And then with his other 2 dice, he's going to lose a legion and get rid of 3 more cubes. So we'll clear out those 3 green cubes, and we lost 1 legion. And all that's left there is 1 little lone white cube. Alright, so I don't think it's worth fighting that white cube there again. And so he's got 2 more actions. He's going to take 2 of his legions. No, he'll take 3 legions. Step over to Tyrus for his 3rd action, and his 2nd action will be to trade in 2 legions for a fort. Alright, good. So we're building up our defenses pretty well there. Hold on. Totally forgot I had these 5 white cards. Okay. So, let's rewind. We didn't have that fort there. And he had 2 legions here. I think I still want to fight. I recruited and then I fought. And then I'll trade in these 2, these 5 white cards to ally with the white. And then I have 1 action left. So I think I'll just take 2 of these guys and I'll step over to Tyrus. Alright, there we go. Yeah, it's pretty good round. Alright, so drew 2 more cards. We got another white, and we got a black. And then we draw 2 of these. Alright, so Carthago already has a black, so we could add another black there. However, we have a legion, so the legion will just go away. And then we go up to the orange, and this spot should get an orange cube, but we have a legion there, so the legion is just going to go away to defend. Alright, we are in good shape. Now it is back to the pink player's turn. So, this spot's going to be a little bit of trouble. We need to kind of start looking at taking care of that. However, I'm going to need some legions to be able to do that. I could step up here and recruit. That would give me 3 legions. That would be 2 actions, and I wouldn't be any closer to this. So that's not very effective if that is my goal. Okay. Well, you know, it doesn't get me any closer to this, but it might not be a bad idea, because now we don't have any legions here defending this. We just used the last legion that was there to defend it. So if I step over here and I recruit, now there's 3 legions there. I can take 2 of those legions, and I can step back to where I was. So that's 1, 2, 3 actions for for my fourth action, I can take 2 of these legions and step over here, start making my way that way. So now these 2 spots are defended, moderately well defended, and I've got a couple of legions that I'm taking with me. Alright, so let's draw some player cards. Okay, we got another green card, that's good, and we got another revolt. So this goes up, take 1 card off the bottom of here. Alright, Syracuse. So this spot gets 3 of these dark gray cubes, and then we shuffle these. Alright, so good chance that Syracuse is going to get sacked, but maybe not. Hopefully not. Alright, now I gotta draw 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so blue is heading for Roma, which means, oh, well, Roma's right here and blue is right there. So we got blue and Roma now. So if Roma ever gets sacked because it's the capital of the empire, that is another way you lose the game. And this place right here loses its legion, and this place right here loses its legion. Now, just because I have an alliance with white doesn't mean that white cubes don't come out when I draw white cards. They still come out, so you still got to deal with the white. It's just that is one of the steps closer to winning the game, is having that alliance. We'll just say it's a tenuous alliance. All right, they're not all on board with that deal. Okay, so that was the pink player. Now we're back to the yellow player. So the yellow player, one of his actions is he can add 1 legion to any city with a fort. So he'll use 1 action to put a legion there, and he'll use 1 action to put a legion here. So I think that's good. And then he can use, he's got 2 more actions. He'll take this guy from where he's at, step over here, and he'll battle. Hopefully that'll go well. We'll see. Nope, that went very badly. He just lost his legion and didn't accomplish anything. Okay. Well, we tried. So 2 player cards. We've got another black and another white. Okay, and we are now at 7 cards. Draw 3 of these. So let's see. This spot here gets another blue. This spot here gets another blue and gets sacked, which puts a blue there, and it would put a blue here, but instead we'll just have a legion go away. And then this spot here would get another gray, but instead it just loses its legion. All right. And now it is the white player's turn. So I think right away the white player is going to play this white card. Since we're allied with white now, and he's in a city where there are some white cubes, he can play a white card to basically turn those white cubes into legions. So he just picked up a whole bunch of legions. He'll carry 3 of those legions over to this city as his second action. For his third action, we'll swap 2 of those for a fort. And for his fourth action, he could fight, but he doesn't have really great odds. I think he'd probably be better off just recruiting. And you know what? I think when I recruited, I gave him... No, that's right. I didn't recruit. Alright, so he's going to recruit and just put some more legions there. Okay, so that's going to be his turn. And he didn't battle anyone. Okay, alright. So draw 2 player cards. Okay, we got another white and we got an orange. And we are now over our hand limit, right? 6, 7, 8. Yep. So, okay, we're not going to need too many white because we've already allied with them. So we'll discard that white. Okay, and then we got to draw 3 of these. Alright, so Syracuse is going to get sacked. That's not great. And we got to add 1 here, 1 here, and 1 there. And then Philippopolis loses a legion. And orange is headed for Roma, so they're going to have 1 go into there. Okay. Alright, and now it is back to the pink player. So I think he's going to go 1, 2. He's going to go ahead and fight for his 3rd action. But we're going to use this card, so instead of rolling 2 dice, we're just going to set those 2 dice to whatever we want them to be. And I think what I want them to be is... we'll just go with 2 eagles, so that lets him remove 4 cubes. So he can remove these 3 blue cubes and 1 green cube. Okay, nice. And he's got 1 more action. So, what to do with 1 more action? He doesn't have the card that he would need to build a fort there, although that would be a good spot for a fort. And he can't use a card to travel because he's not in a port city. He can't recruit because he's not in a city with a fort. So basically his option is he could fight again, try and take out that last green cube, or he could take 1 of his legions and go somewhere else. He might want to move down here towards the bottom of the board at some point because we've got quite a few guys building up there and he is the best at fighting guys. But since he can't even get anywhere close to that, I think he's just going to go ahead and fight with his last action. Alright, so basically we took out this and didn't lose anything. Alright. Okay, 2 player cards, which means we're going to have to discard something. Okay, so we got another black, which is interesting. Now we have 3 blacks. And we've got another event. So this event is the current player may draw 2 additional player cards, or the current player may draw 4 additional player cards if you want to bring the marker down the decline. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We gotta get rid of something. I think I'm gonna go ahead and ditch this orange card. I don't think we're gonna be using the orange cards for an alliance. Alright, so what's next? 3 of these actually. Alright, so Tyrus first is going to lose a legion. And then Carthago, which is over here, gets a gray cube. And then this place right here where he is loses 1 legion. Okay. Alright, and now it is the yellow player's turn. Alright, I mean he's still there where there's all these gray cubes that got to be dealt with. he could use 3 actions to recruit legions in his city. He can do that because his special ability. And then he could fight. Or he could use 1 legion to add, or he could use 1 action to add a legion to this spot because there's a fort there. Then the other 2 actions to give himself 2, and then he can fight. I guess that's what we'll do. So he got rid of 2 cubes and lost 1 legion. Okay. Well, not too bad. 2 player cards. Oh, blue. Interesting. Okay, so between these 2 blue and the 1 blue that we have in the treasury up here, I have the 3 blue I need to ally with blue. So I might try to hang on to these blue. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I gotta get rid of 2 cards. Alright, well, green is now more well controlled than black, so maybe we'll get rid of green. Get rid of these 2 green cards, keep these 2 blue cards. Alright, it's 5, 6, 7, yep. Alright, and then we do 3 of these. Alright, so everyone is headed to Roma with these cards. So first we have the gray, so they'll move 1 out there. Oops, no, I got that wrong. It'll come from Carthago, so it'll go straight there. And then we've got white headed towards Roma, so they will add 1 to there. And then we've got green headed to Roma. So green comes through here, so they'll just use that legion. Okay. Alright, and now it is the white player's turn. So, the white player could, you know what, where's the, okay, this city is right here where the pink player is. So if I want to get this city out of my treasury, it makes sense to have the pink player do that. So then the white player is just going to look at maybe getting rid of, maybe fighting these blue barbarians and then moving somewhere and building another fort, possibly. So he could fight here for 1, go 2, 3, build a fort, have 1 action left. But maybe actually it'd make more sense to go to fight and then go 2, 3, 4 and recruit at this fort. Alright, well, we'll see how this fight goes first. Wow, okay. So he got rid of all 3 of these cubes, so that's good. And he lost 2 of his legions. Alright, and then so that was his first action. Second action, move here. Third action, move here. Fourth action, recruit 2 legions at that city. Okay. 2 player cards. I'm gonna have to end up discarding something else. Well, we got a green, which we've already decided we're not going to worry too much about. And then we have a revolt, so that'll move up. We're going to take a card off the bottom. Okay, and that is this spot. It gets 3 green. Wow, well that's unfortunate because I was hoping I wouldn't have to worry about green too much. Alright, we'll see how it's going. I feel like so far this game is not going as well as my last game. But that doesn't necessarily mean I've lost yet. We'll see. Alright, so the biggest places I'm worried about are Carthago right here and this city right there with the green cubes. And I gotta draw 3 of these now. Alright, so white is moving towards Roma, which they can do. And then white is moving into here, which will just cause me to lose one of those legions. And then the dark gray is moving into Syracuse, which will cause me to lose that legion. Okay, and it is back to pink. So pink, let me see if I got this right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to have to discard something when I pick up this blue. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'll just discard this white, because we don't need that. And now I just need to move to a city where there's a blue cube, which there's one right here. I'll go there, I'll leave my legion behind. So third action will be discard those 3 blue to get the blue alliance. And fourth action, I think for my fourth action I'll go ahead and step into Roma. Then on my next turn I can maybe recruit some legions and head down to this city here. It's kind of what I'm setting up for with that. Alright. So 2 cards, 2 player cards. Okay, we've got a black and a white. And I'm at 6 player cards. And 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so gray is moving towards Roma, which is going to happen. And then green is moving into here, but we just lose a legion. And then green comes here, so that's going to get sacked. And we're going to put a bunch more green on the board. One there, one there, one there, one there, one there. All right. Wow. Okay. I think green is going to be a big problem. We'll see. But yeah, I have a bad feeling about it for sure. And it is the yellow player's turn. The yellow player is not very effective down here. So a few things he can do for sure right away. He could add a legion to this spot right here. That'd probably be good. He can add a legion to this city as well. That'd probably be good. So that's 2 actions. Has this one already been sacked? No, it hasn't. He's used 2 actions. Maybe instead of putting this one here, he'll do the one to he'll put one there. Then he'll move here for his second action. He'll give himself one for a third action. And then he'll go ahead and attack. We'll just see what happens. Okay, so he lost his legion, but he got rid of, well, on that, yeah, I already rolled, so he lost his legion, he got rid of his guy. Okay. Alright, well that saved that from being sacked, hopefully. So 2 player cards for him. So we've got another white and we've got a green. I've already kind of given up on doing an alliance with green. But that may have been a mistake. 4, 5, 6, 7. Gotta get, alright, I'm gonna hold on to 1 white and 1 green, because I don't need the whites anyway. And then we do 3 of these. 2, 3, Alright, so blue is heading to Roma. Blue is already in Roma, so just add another one there. White is going to Tyrus, which means we lose the legion we have there. And gray is going there. Okay. Now it's the white player's turn. Well, he could recruit 2 guys, take them with him to Tyrus. That's 2 actions now. Switch him out for a fort. That's 3 actions. And then 4 actions, recruit 2 more guys. Alright, so we're kind of trying to stay on top of that. Looks good. Okay, 2 player cards for him. Alright, we've got 2 black cards. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black cards. I'm going to just discard these other 2 cards and be done with that. Okay. And we got 3 of these. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so the gray is going here, which they already have 1, so I'll add another one. Okay, so we prevented that from getting sacked once. That's good. This spot will get an orange, but it's just going to lose its legion instead. And then this spot will get a blue, but it's just going to lose its legion instead. So, not too bad. And now it's the pink player's turn. Okay, so he is in a city where there are some gray cubes. He can trade in 5 of these gray cards to get an alliance with them. Then for his second action, he can recruit 2 people in Roma. Third action, step over to Carthago. Fourth action, use this 6th gray card to enlist those 3 barbarian cubes and make them legions. Alright, nice. I'm going to go ahead and use this card to draw 2 cards. Okay, we got 2 orange cards. Might be useful. And his turn is over, so now he's going to draw 2 more cards. Okay, so we have that, and we have another revolt. Alright, that's our 4th revolt. 1 card from the bottom of here. There's a total of 5 revolts in the deck. We're going to add 3 green cubes to this spot, which is actually going to cause another sacking. Wow. Yeah, this is bad. It's going to go there. That's going to go there. That's going to go there. This one would get sacked as well. And add some more cubes there, 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 and there. Alright. And then these are going to get shuffled. And I'm going to draw 4 cards, and I probably just lost the game. Yeah, because there's 3 cities that, if even one of them comes up green, yeah, if even one of them comes up green, I'm a goner. So this is probably the end of the game. Let's see. Did I just lose? This one will get sacked, which would cause this one to get sacked, and that would end the game. All right, so that is it. I lost because of this. So let's go back up and just talk about this a little bit. So, interesting board state. Basically got overrun by green. I would have lost because not only would these two cities and in turn this city get sacked, all three of those cities would end up getting sacked again. And this was right here, so it would go down to the end and I'd lose. But also I only had 2 green cubes left in the supply, so I would have lost for that reason as well. So any thoughts about what I could have done differently? Well, obviously, just don't let that get so out of control. I should have been more on top of that. One of the things that's interesting about this game, it's kind of challenging, is in the beginning of the game, you only really have cubes in kind of like the 6 cities that like really border the mainland here. Yeah, like this edge of the empire basically. And so if you can control that, which like down here I had forts in each of these 3 cities, so that was good. I had another fort up there in that city, and if I could, I would not have minded getting another fort in this city and this city. That would have been my 5 forts basically, which is all that you're allowed is 5. So I couldn't quite have done it because I had 3 here, a 4th one here, so I could have got one in one of these 2 cities. Yeah, one of these 2 cities. So, you know, it would have been nice to get my 5th fort on there. But the point that I'm getting to is that if you can build forts along there, if you can keep those cities stocked with legions, then there's a pretty good chance of being able to guard your perimeter that way. However, that strategy falls apart when you have those revolt cards come up, because then that adds 3 cards or 3 cubes of a color to a city anywhere on the map, and so that has nothing to do with guarding your border. So it's interesting. It's kind of like reminds me a little bit of Pandemic Rising Tide in that sense, because in that one you have just one color of cube representing the water, but the water is like coming in off of the sea. However, it can also spring up just in random places. So that's kind of similar mechanism there. I don't know, other than just letting this green here get out of control, I don't know any particular mistakes that I made in my strategy. So maybe you noticed something. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that, if you had any suggestions about that. Maybe one thing is I was pretty cavalier about collecting certain colors of cards to make those alliances, because I thought, well, it'll get to a point where I'll have like 3 or 4 alliances, and then the 1 or 2 colors that I do not have the alliances for, I'll just wipe them off the board and I'll be done. Which I think is a legitimate strategy, but I think I was just a little too cavalier about letting some of those cards go instead of pursuing alliances. And I didn't work hard enough to secure whatever alliances I could, because you just never know. Like in the beginning, it looked like green was pretty well under control, but then you see it exploded pretty big there at the end. That's what caused me to lose. So anyhow, just being a little more cautious about hanging on to those city cards and trying to get all the alliances that you can. So anyhow, that is a look at Pandemic Fall of Rome. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. My name is Nathan. This is Nice at Dice, and you enjoy the rest of your day.